Yeah. Okay.
Look at us.
Look at that. Well, look at you. I told you
Technology.
I'm not the tech. I'm just the talent. Sarah, can you do a round and just gather anybody who might want to join us? Okay. I feel like a teacher. Eyes to the front of the class, everybody. All right, so we're going to do a two-parter today, as we usually do. So the first 30 minutes, we have a special guest. So she's not on camera today. I have internet productivity issues, but she's here and she can hear us, and you should be able to hear her. So her name is Melissa, and she is the VP of Marketing and Communications for REMAX Canada. So like us, also a badass business lady. So she's going to do a presentation that REMAX has been recently presenting called "I Want to Build Out My Social Calendar for the Month." And the idea is that at the end of today, with what she does and with the second part, which is the hands-on workshop, we're going to be able to walk away with a plug-and-play strategy and how we align our branding based off of the last workshop, which doesn't matter if you went to or not, and today. All right, so can we welcome Melissa? Yay, okay, everyone's clapping for you. And you can go ahead and get started.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk through, nope, I won't. There we go. All right. So want to just quickly, oh no. Oh. So want to just quickly talk to high level is everything that is within our ad fund. So when we speak to the promo fees that you pay, it really goes towards that main advertising campaign. What you also get is a ton of access to a lot of other pre-branded resources, reports, and also different toolkits that help you build out your kind of your own personal brand within the REMAX brand. And so it's of what pieces make the most sense based on your brand to kind of leverage getting the most value for those fees that you're paying. And also in conjunction with that, you're also continuing to kind of bolster and spread that REMAX message where that collective presence of the brand is really what helps benefit us all. So it's what helps allow us to kind of have that brand awareness that is 4 times higher than any other brand, and likelihood to recommend and consider being 3 times more likely than any other brand. And so it's really that kind of strength of the brand that then powers your personal brand. And how we have designed, we wanted to, because we often present on all of these different and kind of talk about what they are, we took a step back and thought about how could we present it in a way that helps the agents understand how they can actually leverage this within sort of an overview of their business. The example I'm going to take you through is kind of speaking to all of the different facets that exist within the ad fund that you can leverage, and looking at it kind of spread out over a month view. And the whole idea here is that, of course, your entire social feed shouldn't just be a bunch of templated REMAX content, but really what this is meant to help show you is that, this could alleviate 6 to 8 posts a week for you so that you don't have to, 6 to 8 posts a month for you, so that those could just be there. They're already humming and running, and then you really spend more of your time on that personalized content that allows you to continue to create that connectivity with your audience. Okay, so I'm going to start out, and you'll kind of see how this will flow, but I did it over the month of July. I will caveat the contest post. You'd have to apply to June since it's date ranged, but I did want to just kind of, for the context of this, I previewed it over July so that you could kind of think forward and ahead as to how you could use some of this. So the first example is sharing a post on refinancing options amid higher interest rates. And this is really just to give light to whether it's this post or a post on any sort of home buying tip or trick. What we do is for every single piece of content we create on the REMAX Canada social channels, so those are our channels that speak directly to the consumer. They're often educating, talking about what's happening in the markets, or also speaking to the value. All this content is available also for you to use. So here's an example of a character
You are glitching out a little bit.
And we hopefully it comes back. And what this example here on the screen is the social media content bank. So on the Agent Broker Hub, which you will see a lot throughout this presentation, you can go and access all of these posts in a dropdown through Dropbox. The other thing that you can do is we are adding them into Photify. So for anyone who uses Photify, we will start to just start to kind of plug in some content that is designed to help those buyers and sellers in your feeds. And then here's just examples of how different agents have leveraged this. So if you see on the example on what's have a logo, really can take this and it's yours to personalize from the post copy down to what's in the post. Okay. For my internet. But these are different that we create these are different spots we create loaded into REMAX Hustle, which I will also share. So July 12th and July 18th, you could leverage the REMAX Hustle tool. So whether it's those social spots I just shared, or we also have our custom commercials. Hustle.com. You fill in your question, select your photo, go down, and whether it's a commercial or one of those social spots, what it does is it allows you to just quickly download that asset, and it actually. And so what that allows you to do is just quickly, easily have video content that's of a higher quality than probably most people on their own. And be able to have your own kind of personal branding still attached to it and integrated into your social. So whether you choose, and we can add new resources to as we get new video assets that are available to use. And for every campaign, I'd be remiss to say that we also have an entire agent toolkit. So aside from REMAX Hustle on the Agent Broker Hub, there's always a full toolkit that allows you to take and use any of these campaign take in your personal does in real your bar moving
So, do you know where to find the Agent Broker Hub? I was like, they're here today.
There we go.
So sorry about that. I'm back. Okay. So this is our contest, and what our contests are, if you haven't leveraged them to date, is we try to create, what we tried to do is, rather than just having one singular ad campaign that went out and was just this primary message for the year using those media dollars, is we wanted to, number one, start to build, we know awareness is super high with the brand here in Canada. Market share is very high, awareness is high. But what we really wanted to do was really start to build up what we would call brand love or brand favorability. So how do we not just have people know that REMAX exists, but how do we get them to love the brand in the same way that you see passion towards other brands? And one of the things that we introduced was these contests. So selfishly on the brand side, we use them to kind of help generate that positive brand sentiment out in the market. But what we also wanted to do was ensure that when we were creating something, it was also a tool that as the agents are paying into the ad fund, they're getting that value out of it with pieces that we can put directly in their hand that they can then leverage in their business, share with their clients, and really just create a reason to reach out. And so that's really what I would look at these contests as, is they're there to be a reason to reach out to a client or a reason to just have something additional delightful to share on your social. And so again, our most current contest right now, it's actually going to be concluding, I think, June 25th. So if you haven't shared it yet, I encourage you to do so. Is our Max Wins contest, where they can win $1,000 for a house cleaner. And are some examples of take those toolkits, take images, put your own copy. We also oftentimes have that's suggested if you don't want to kind of think about that part. And it really just allows you to have something really kind of fresh that feels like. And then, as I mentioned, we do make these always easy to download. So on the Agent Broker Hub, see here, search contests, and then what you care is the entire kind of toolkit is available for you to download. So whether you want to do some of the meme style posts, the contest posts, you have all the options within there. And you can either do paid media to it or just have it on your organic. Okay, so moving to another piece that we do here at the region, and that kind of falls within the ad fund, is all of our PR initiatives. So this is everything from securing interviews for brokers and agents within the news and the press, to the big market reports that we release to kind of grab and generate those headlines both nationally and locally, and really kind of speak to what our underpinning is as far as, those most experienced agents having the advice that the Canadians need. Really kind of by seeding these reports out in the market, it helps position REMAX and you as the REMAX agents as those thought leaders in your local markets. And so highly encouraged, even if your market isn't featured in one of the reports, is we always create different assets and tiles that allow you to leverage the report even without sort of your market maybe being mentioned. So there's always national kind of stats and highlights. In there, you can see the new capital gains tax has some information just in terms of how that will affect cottage ownership. So even if your market isn't necessarily covered as far as a social tile or a feature that we build out, there is always information available that you can pick up on and then link back to this report and generate and be a thought leader in your own local market as to what's going on, both locally and at a national level. And for all of our reports, little example here of how agents do leverage it. So by taking all of these pre-designed social tiles, you can either share our content directly and add your own tips in, or you can download and upload those to your own personal social to kind of tell a story of what's happening. And for every report that we put out, we always on the Agent Broker Hub list out all of those different assets that you have access to download, as well as kind of those top trends and key information to the reports. So encourage you when you are on that resource hub, the REMAX Reports 2024 tab will get you access into all of those pre-designed. So July 28th, I've got here, we would share or stitch influencer videos from our REMAX Canada channel. And so just another idea of content that you can kind of build on top of, as opposed to needing to start fresh yourself. And so we do both influencers, so in the traditional sense. So the one on the left here, the girl getting ready to put her makeup on, is actually talking about her home buying journey in a get ready with me style video. We have influencers doing all sorts of videos right now, whether it's actually going on tours, speaking to resources that exist within the REMAX blog, or just speaking to how their agents have kind of helped them through the process, how their REMAX agents have helped them. So one idea, if you are on TikTok or even Reels, you can either share those videos directly. Stitching them is when you play a piece of the video and then you respond to it with your own custom video after. So you could maybe take a piece of what the influencer is saying to catch the attention of your audience in a different way. Help in that problem. Additionally, we also have been doing a number of videos with Christopher as well. So that's our president. And generally he's dissecting different trends that are happening in the market. So again, whether you stitch it or a duet is where you have it side by side. So you would have what Chris is saying on one side and you could be reacting to it on the other side. And that's another way that you can just create a little bit more dynamic content using what the brand already has, but then adding your own flair to it.
I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but
Housing supply
Oh
prices,
dear.
what does it mean? What-
Okay. Okay. So, so what I want to do is I'll make sure, and we will make sure that you guys all have a copy of this presentation so you can kind of go back and reference the examples, reference the different pages in the Agent Broker Hub. But when we speak to building out your social media calendar and wanting to have more to talk about, these are going to be your 3 best bets in order to do so. So REMAX Hustle, where you can customize those videos. The Agent Broker Hub is going to be access to all of those resources available to download, generally out of a Dropbox, as well as blog posts that give context to why this program exists and how you can use it. So highly encourage you to use the search when you're on the Agent Broker Hub or use the Agent Resource Hub accordion feature here. And then the last piece would be Photify. So for anyone who does have a Photify account, like I mentioned, we are going to be loading more Canadian content in there over the coming months. But another great place where you can just get that quick to access branded content available for you. And then the last way that I would encourage you all to just be informed about what's happening and have things to talk about, have things to share when it comes to your social spaces in relation to the brand would be to make sure that you're liking and following our page, our @REMAX Canada page. And again, this is our page that speaks directly to the consumer. So one that is going to be talking about source of what types of pieces that I can be taking and integrating into my own social. That I want to just highlight is the REMAX update. So this email is sent out every 2 weeks. And if you are not getting it, I would highly encourage you to reach out to customer support and make sure that we verify that you haven't unsubscribed or that it's not going to junk. But this is really going to be your best way to get the most value out of the brand and out of the different tools that exist. We try to make it as visual as possible so that each month or each week, every other week when you're looking at it, it's a quick hit to see, hey, is there anything new in there that I could be using? Sometimes there will be, sometimes there might not be, but definitely highly encourage you to, if there's at least one email you're going to open from us, this is the one from, it's done by our Canadian, specific to our Canadian audience here. And I would just highly encourage that this is probably your best bet to kind of get the most out of the toolkit. And then the last page I'll leave you with, and hopefully you can take a photo of it or write down all these links, but this is really sort of just an resources. So the Agent Broker Hub at the top being really that resource hub for REMAX Canada for agents so that they have access to everything that's kind of happening in the Canadian network. internal Facebook page. So if you're following that page, you're going to get updates as to what's happening in the region, what are the new programs that are being released. And then, like I mentioned, our consumer activities are all the REMAX Canada facing channels. And I don't crash. There I am.
Here we go. There you are. Okay, so I'm just going to stay off screen to be easier, but okay. Do you guys have any questions? No questions from them. So my question is, how often are the contests again? Can you remind me?
Yes. So I'll go off video just in case.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So contests are, this year we have one contest series that is every, it happens 3 times a year. And that's max wins. And then we will have the Blue Jays contest, which will be separate, and that's going to be in July.
Okay. So a fair amount that you guys can lean into. Okay. You said something interesting when we chatted the other. I just wanted to pick your brain on it for like a minute before you have to jump off. So you did a bunch. There's new signs. Who knew that REMAX has new signs that you guys can use? Lana knows. Is this because you're new with REMAX and you just went to the thing? Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned there was some research done on that for the new sign.
Yes, the new yard signs. Yeah, do you want me to speak to that?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Perfect, I will, yes. And I'm on my other device now that doesn't need to screen share, so hopefully this works better. So we recently did some research on consumer perception towards our yard signs. And so what we did was we took 2 traditional red over, white over, blue signs. And then we took one of the newer signs that are going to actually be released fairly shortly. And then we took 3 agent signs that are they're REMAX, but they weren't sort of clearly REMAX in the traditional ways that we do our signage. And so what we did is we put those in front of consumers and asked a number of questions in relation to, you know, which sign would you want to have sort of on your lawn, which sign would be most likely for you to call the agent, and really just kind of overall behavioral response to the different options. And what we saw was the traditional red over, white over, blue signs outperformed all the others, even the newer ones that consumers haven't quite seen in the market at this point, outperformed all the others by a pretty significant margin. I would say like 44% versus, 23%. And so I think in the conversation, and this is where Kimberly and I were talking about it in relation to personal brand and the REMAX brand, is it's always just really important to remember that sort of outwardly that REMAX brand really helps benefit you. And in the eyes of the consumer, all of this work we do and kind of everything I showed you, everything that's on that ad fund chart really helps kind of build those positive perceptions. And then really where that personal brand comes in is sort of as you get through the door based on sort of the listing sign being more in the traditional look and feel. As you kind of move into the listing table and as you get to that point, that's really where your personal brand layers then on top of what the REMAX brand offers and provides. And so that's kind of, I think it's a really interesting, we have, unfortunately here in Ontario, we have quite an issue of agents really using, all sorts of different kind of signage out in the market. And it definitely shows. You see different neighborhoods where agents are using the compliant signs. It feels like REMAX is all over the place. And you see the effects of that in more REMAX agents and offices getting calls. And as we start to dilute that, where you have more outwardly, say brown and yellow signs or white signs where the REMAX is really, really small in the corner, you really don't get that sense of market share and dominance in those communities. And it does affect the collective of all of those agents as they trickle down. So I think just an important note when you kind of think about personal brand within the context of the greater brand, the great thing about being part of REMAX is you get to leverage the strength of this kind of behemoth of a brand and then really layer on and attach that personal brand and let that shine in all of the other activities that you do and how you build your business.
I love that. Plus, like I think with the new signs, there's a couple people who use them locally. So there's using the sign and then using the sign incorrectly, like a yellow sign with a REMAX. That's not how we do things. I understand and appreciate everyone's individuality and creativity, but that's just the rules of being part of a big brand. So, but the new signs are actually pretty cool. Like the one that's blue, you can put like your photo up top, and if you have a personal logo, and I think that that's a really good mix. They look really sharp. I actually might switch to them. So, do you guys have any final questions before we send Melissa? I don't think so. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Perfect. I will just add, when you mentioned photos, that was the other thing that Sean threw in the research. So if anyone is thinking about changing up their signs, consumers love the ones that had a photo of the agent on them. That ranked highest aside from the REMAX branding. So if you're thinking about that, it's a good option for adding that personalization in. Okay. Thank you so
much. I really appreciate your time.
I'm so sorry about my internet, everyone. I promise.
Oh, no, that's okay.
Next time I speak to you, it should be lightning fast.
No, we're totally fine. I really appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so does John want to record? They're really nice. Does John want to record the round table, or are we okay to just do that?
I don't think he can, right? I think, yeah, he just. Would you guys like to see where the broker hub is?
Yeah.
Like, I can pull it up really quick. Yeah.
Mortgages.